good morning.
Guillaume le Maréchal, you are, hello, you are Deputy Project Director and branch representative for Total Energy in South Korea, where it's already early evening, I understand, right?
Yes, it's 6 p.m. now in Seoul.
Right, okay. South Korea has so far hardly any wind turbines turning off its coast, but the country aims high, 12 gigawatt of installed offshore wind energy capacity in 2030. What is the country doing to reach this goal? What are the plans?
So first, the plan is there for since the 9th basic plan in 2020 and has not really changed. We are now, what they are targeting is 22% by 2030. And what's going on now is many electrical business licenses have been granted to various operators. There are now about 20 gigawatts of capacity of business license, which is beyond what is targeted for 2030, which is about 12 gigawatts in offshore wind. So the rules are also changing with an auction system, which is introduced. And this auction system is putting some principle that is not only price that is looked at, but as well the qualitative aspect like local content and industrialization and as well consenting and as well there is a system around the progress, making sure that the most advanced project will be prioritized. On top of that, there is a system of subsidies that gives more weight to projects in deep water and far from the coast, meaning that floating projects will have their chance in this auction system. And it will provide the operator a constant price based on the offer for 20 years, which allow them to get their revenue back, to get back some revenue and to get their investment back. So that's really a good move. There are still some uncertainties in the regulation, because things are still moving. There are many cross-fertilization, and we had some conference with ADEME from France and KEA a few weeks ago, and really I think Korean authorities are listening to good and bad experience from Europe and are learning from it. So it's really enthusiastic for us.
And I understand your company is going to try to get a share of that cake. What kind of projects are you eyeing? I'm sorry.
So if we move to next slide, if you can make them move, or should I do? I don't know. You will see that we have a portfolio with 5 projects in 3 sites. So the Ulsan site, which are on the east coast, in front of Ulsan, are floating. It's 3 times 500 megawatt, 140 meter water depth. And the 2 other sites, which are on southwest part of Korea, different part of Korea. One is fixed bottom, and the other is, I would say, in between. It could be the future of fixed bottom at 70 meter water depth. So we have a quite diverse portfolio, technically and in terms of area. We also have diverse shareholders. So we are with Corayo, at 42.5%, but as well with SK, which entered the projects only last summer. And it's really great because we have very, very good technical people joining the team now. We have 7 engineers from SK, which are bringing a lot for the success of our projects.
I can see there's the export cable at the Ulsan project. Is that something that's already under construction? How will that work?
No, so today the FIDs are planned. We would enter for the first project in Ulsan in auction in 24. That's what we are targeting, with FID soon after. What we are doing now, and you can go to the next slide, I will explain you the status of the project of one of the floating projects, the first one. So on the engineering side, we really wanted to have cross-fertilization between Western companies and Korean companies, not only for local content, but really to bring value to the development. What we did in the offshore wind farm, and I mean there the hull, mooring, inter-array cable and installation, for 500 megawatt, it means 33 hull to be constructed, so there is a huge logistic and construction challenge. So what we wanted is really to bring the yards in Korea into the game from engineering stage. That's what we did. And we wanted to bring design as well and design capability from Western companies. So we had a feed competition between two consortiums that we encouraged to form. The first was with Technip Subsea 7 and a yard called Samkang, which is now called SK Ocean Plant. And the other consortium is between Technip, who bring their own design, and as well Doris from France, who is working as a subcontractor in engineering. So very good for the offshore wind farm. And on the export cable and export system, we are starting a feed now with ODE, working on the feeds for a few months. And we launch call for tender to local company by the first request for quotation by the end of the year. And after, on the onshore part, which is a challenge by itself because we have 7 kilometers until the grid and we have to work with a common grid connection facility with some of our partners, CIP, COP, partner and as well a competitor in a certain way. We are working with the best, I would say, of the best in Korea, KEPCO ENCs, and the feed has just started last week. There was the official signing ceremony. So we are now full speed on feed with a target to have reasonable capex, which is very important to have a sustainable industry. That will be the biggest commercial floating project, not only in Korea but in the world. And we need to show, by example, reasonable capex. We need to show robust design, and we need to show that from one project to another, we will allow to decrease the price and to have less and less subsidies to make the project fly. So that's where we are. So I want to insist on the fact that European and Western companies are involved in this, but with a lot of exchange, and I think exchange which are really good for the industry between Korean companies and Western companies. Knowing that really Korea is a place where industrialization will be possible with a lot of yards which are delivering many ships per year. So logistics is really in their DNA, I would say.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Guillaume Le Maréchal from Total Energy. Pablo, you are offshore director at Madrid-based developer Capital Energy, which has a pipeline of 7.5 gigawatts in the Spanish and Portuguese market. Now, these two countries have ambitious targets, 3 gigawatts until 2030 for Spain, 10 gigawatt for Portugal. How will they go about constructing all this capacity? I understand the rules are still a bit wishy-washy, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting Lisa Capital Energy. For those who are not familiar, Capital Energy is a medium-sized developer, really well established in Spain and Portugal. Yeah, closer? Sorry. So for those who are not familiar with Capital Energy, it's a medium-sized developer, really well established in Spain and Portugal. We've been awarded 3 gigawatts onshore-wise of onshore wind and solar. We are developing, as you said, 7.5 gigawatts. Offshore, we've done some important agreements in the last years with Shell for co-developing projects, with Blue Float for co-developing a project in Tenerife, and last week was announced here with a French company, Life for Offshore, hydrogen production. No, that's a bit sorry about the shameless promotion of the company. going back to the question. No, Spain and Portugal are in a really similar stage at this moment. With a peculiarity, Spain has some elections at the end of July, so things will be a bit delayed. General elections, during elections, everything stops, in every country. So we are expecting some delays in Spain. The targets of 3 gigawatts for Spain and 10 gigawatts for Portugal are realistic, but I think that both governments have already announced that it's not something that will be operational for 2030. It's something that will be awarded during the next 6-7 years. So we need to be patient. As well about, you said, the rules are not really clear. I think that we need 3 main blocks to be approved in both countries. One is the maritime special planning. That's something that Spain has the final version of it, but Portugal is still in a draft version. And later on, we need the legal framework to regulate the production, the electricity production offshore. That this is something that we are waiting in both countries. And about the auctions, we do not have the rules, we do not have the calendar, so it's something that we are risking, developers, our capital, just almost in a hinge of faith that this is going on, in the next months or next year. Yeah.
And if you had to take an educated guess, what would you say? What kind of bidding rounds will these countries go for, or auctions?
Yeah, well, I think both countries, they are going for the one-stage auction, one stage step. That is, the auction is awarded and you get the seabed lease, you get the tariff, and you get as well the grid connection point all in one. We do think that to start an industry, an offshore industry, is the right way to avoid any speculations, in auction leases, etc., and as well to open for these medium-sized developers as ourselves, Capital Energy, the possibility to participate. That's our guess. Secondly, about the capacity that is going to be auctioned. In Spain, we don't know. We have 5 areas, 5 main areas. We don't know if there will be a general auction for the whole of Spain, or there will be several auctions depending on the area. Strong rumor, it makes sense to start with Canary Island, because production of electricity in Canary Island is higher, in cost. They are basically burning fuel, so that makes sense. We need to say that for Spain and Portugal, we do need the floating technology, which is a bit more expensive than the fixed technology, and that's why. And for Portugal, I think they announced a couple of weeks ago that they will go for 4 lots of 100 megawatts at the end of this year. So actually they did some announcement, big announcement, how they are gonna split the auction for this year. I think that's optimistic, because we don't have the legal framework yet. So to have an auction by the end of this year of 4 lots of 500 megawatts, well, I don't know. Hopefully.
When you look at these 2 countries, obviously Portugal and Spain are starting from scratch when it comes to offshore wind energy. Do they have the necessary infrastructure in terms of supply chain, or will lots of new companies spring up everywhere?
Yeah. Well, Spanish, we are hard workers, so we've been involved, in the main offshore wind projects in the world, Actually, in all the projects in Europe, we have a footprint, in the supply chain in those projects. Right now, the first ones in US as well. The main contractors are Spanish. We do have shipyards that they are really adequate, to fabricate. The question is the volume, If all these countries that we've been talking or discussing, they bloom at the same time, it's going to be tricky, to attend all this volume. But in terms of supply chain, we are quite well prepared. As well, import infrastructures, we are improving, no? The ports that we are having. We do have 3-4 main ports in Galicia and as well in Canary Island, which are getting ready for the offshore wind industry. They understand that is an opportunity for them to develop their infrastructures and as well to do some business. So we are getting ready. In terms of components, I guess our weakest point in Spain and Portugal is obviously the turbines, nacelles and power cables. But the rest of it, more or less, we could be like kind of self-sufficient. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much for your insight, Pablo, Alcón, Valero. Let me now bring in our guest from the Polish capital of Warsaw, Jakub Budzynski. Hello.
Hello, hello. Good morning once again.
Good morning. You are Vice President at Industry Group Polish Offshore Wind Energy Society. Now, Poland is really going to ramp up quickly if it works. They are aiming for a total capacity. The first 10 projects are already underway with a total capacity of 5.9 gigawatts. And for that capacity, the government is going to give a price of roughly 75 euros per megawatt hour. But I understand developers also need to do more to get that money, to get that high price, which is high compared to other countries.
Yes, exactly. The seabed permitting regime in Poland is slightly different than what developed, so to say, Western offshore wind markets countries. In Poland, when developer is applying for the seabed permit, he gets actually a clean site without any preparation. No EIA, no infrastructure, I mean grid infrastructure. So developer on his own has to deliver or provide itself with the environmental impact assessment. And what is very important here in terms of this price you mentioned is the grid, offshore and onshore grid. In Poland, developer builds the grid and pays for it. And it's like 20% of capex, so it must be reflected in the price for the CFD.
And these 5.9 gigawatt are only the beginning. The government is already announcing to tender out an additional 12 gigawatt, right, by 2031.
Exactly. Actually, this 5.9 giga refers to 8 projects, not 10. But it's not the most important here. Actually, yes, Poland, without any doubt, becomes, on our eyes, as we speak even, we can say, because we discuss this topic as well in Warsaw here, and that's why I'm here in Warsaw, not in Gdynia, my hometown. Poland is getting the position of the biggest offshore wind market in the region, Baltic Sea region, and even I would say this part of Europe. We will have 18 gigawatts under the CFD regime, so guaranteed by the Polish state, but the technical capacity, technical potential for Polish waters, Polish exclusive economic zone of the Baltic Sea is estimated at roughly 30 gigawatts. So it's a huge opportunity for developers.
30 or even 33, I read somewhere, 33 gigawatts.
Exactly.
Yeah, but there are hurdles, right? What would you say is the biggest hurdle for that to actually spring up in the water? For 18 giga, I must say that the road is open, and this will happen within the next 13 years. But to release more capacity, so to reach this 33 goal, we have to revise the Maritime Special Plan, which is a first and a basic binding document, binding law for Poland in terms of spatial issues for offshore wind. So simply to find new sites, new areas for further development in Poland, reaching this goal of 33 gigawatts, we have to release new sites, and this can happen only on the path of revision of the Maritime Special Plan, which takes about, in Polish procedure, including international cross-border procedure, up to 2 years. Right, I suppose that's something that other countries are also looking into. At least that's what we heard over the past, yesterday and today. Do you think that Poland will look abroad for that and get inspired from other approaches to how to plan the maritime space?
I think so, yes. We made a quite long way since last year, even autumn last year, when the special report prepared by Rumble and Polish Maritime Institute has been prepared, telling about these new areas and showing them exactly. Within the half a year, because we're in June 23 now, the Polish ministry responsible for energy development, energy policy, mentioned very often about the urgent need of revision of the plan. So we expect that it would happen very soon.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Jakub Budzynski. Thank you, Guillaume le Maréchal.
Thank you very much
for bearing with us. Thank you. Thank you, Pablo.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening. And
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We do have a drawing that's
Thank you.
going to be projected. We've talked about South Korea, Poland, Spain, and Portugal. Exactly, we need the floating technology. You want to react, Pablo? Any comment?
Yeah, I think that we need to, more closer, yeah. We need to re-emphasize that developers in Spain and Portugal, we do need certainty, on the times. Is something that is crucial for us and to plan all the investments and as well the resource of the people and professionals to be involved, and that's what we are waiting. Yeah.
Obviously. Great.
Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Congrats.